Pencil Pow. Why, hello there, art venturers. Today we are going to learn to draw the pectoral muscles. I'm going to share with you kind of a pretty in-depth little understanding of it, but I feel like it really helps because I've tried to draw the pecs so many times with like just basically like trying to draw what they look like without really understanding underlying what's happening, and it just doesn't really like pan out as much. It doesn't look quite right. But then I found that after studying the anatomy with the bones and everything more in depth, I was able to start to draw pecs that really felt, grounded in reality. And so I thought I would share with you what I've learned. And this is like a short demo. What I'm doing now is I'm talking to kind of just show you what we're going to go through. And oops, this one should connect here. And so you'll get an idea of like what the process looks like and what we're going to cover. So here I'm almost done. This one goes up here, this one goes down there. And see, you've got some pecs like that coming off of the sternum and everything. Here's where her head would be, etc., etc. Okay, so that's basically what we're going to cover. And actually, I'll add the deltoids in here as well a little bit because they are the next step in that process, and they like kind of are intimately connected with the pecs. Okay, so the way to go ahead and do this is let's start with the rib cage from front view. So it's it's going to be this egg shape, a little bit wider on the bottom than it is on the top. And you can put a little circle there because basically you're going to have ribs coming down like this, and then at the bottom they kind of go down like that. So we're going to have this kind of shape, right? Cool. So I'm going to start over because I don't want to have the ribs there. It's going to get a little bit messy, but so roundish shape, small at the top, line in the middle, and dividing it like that. Okay. Then right around here you're going to have the collarbone. So you can make that like a slightly curved line. And from here you draw a circle. And this is going to be the sternum right there in the middle. Okay, something like that. From here we've got the scapula poking out like two triangles. And they actually have a little piece that connects up here, but you don't really need to worry about that too much. That would be more into the delts. And probably if this, as I study things and if this is helpful, then I'll go into all the other muscles more in detail. So then we've got the humerus. I think that's what it's called, this upper arm muscle, bone. And that's it. That's all we need. We can put the spine in here just to kind of ground everything. Great. So there's three parts to the pecs. Okay, the first one is going to be this kind of a shape. The second one is going to come from below and go above. See, this is the trick, that the ones underneath connect higher and the ones on top, so this is going to be the third one, connect lower. This one makes a triangle that goes higher. This one makes a triangle that goes lower. You'll see what I mean. And these all connect to that humerus arm muscle. I hope that's what it's called. If not, then I'm just going to call it the upper arm bone. So this is actually going to give you a much better idea of the way the pec looks. So just like maybe like an inch down, that's going to be your center one. And these are going to connect right here to the sternum. So you can go like that. Next, you know how we have these ribs like this? So then the ribs kind of, I know I'm drawing them like this, but for this sake we're going to have it follow the form. So you can imagine that if you took a cross section it's going to be like this, and this is like the form kind of moving away from us. So following the form, right, coming from the bottom of the sternum, and then not all the way to the edge, maybe a little ways in. That's going to be the bottom of this part of the pec, and it's going to connect above the last spot you did. Okay, like that, and then above, like that. And see, this is going to create like the underside of the pectoral muscle. And finally, below, so you see we got 3 dots. Below there, there's the, what is this called? The sternal, no, the clavicle head. So this is the clavicle bone up here. And that one is going to connect below. I'm just going to go again right about here, right about not too far past the rib cage. So now going in with like a darker line and a little bit thinner, I can outline this shape, and that is going to give me the pectoral muscle. And then if you have the striations, they're going to follow those same forms. You see? So from here, to add the deltoids, they're going to come a little bit lower. Actually, I think they come quite a bit lower. I won't go into detail here, but just so you can kind of get an idea, and coming from about the midway to the clavicle, they come around and connect, and they connect all the way to this acromion process, I think, that comes off from the scapula, and they go all the way around. So that's why it's like a little bit more advanced, but just to give you an idea of how that might sit in with the whole system. All right, cool. So that's basically the pectorals. So like if you're doing this from 3/4 view, let's say, you're going to use a similar process. And you're just going to put the sternum in here, have the clavicle, have the humerus bones, and then just connect them all up. So we've got the middle one first, and then this one goes here, and one like that. You got this, following the form like we said, and that goes and connects above. Again, it connects above there. Then the clavicle head connects below, like that, like that. And then let's say I make this a little lighter and go over it just so we can see what it would look like. Copy these heads. And we can use this to create the shadow underneath to give it some form. Okay. Cool. And this to add a couple other muscles in here. This would actually come a little bit closer in. So these details, are things you kind of start to figure out as you mess around. But just having that basic layout, I think, makes it much easier to start to place your pectoral muscles in a way that's more like realistic and believable. So I think I'm going to leave it at that. And I'm thinking about actually doing some like one-on-one drawing tutoring for beginner artists, because I like to help out, and I think that I'm like not advanced enough to be like kind of intimidating at this point, but like I figured out enough tricks, and like I've kind of figured out recently especially how to practice in a way that has drastically improved my art in a shorter period of time than I have had in the past. And so I would have appreciated it if I had been able to go back in time and like tell myself, you know, teach myself these tricks and processes. And I will be sharing them in the videos, but having that like one-on-one support where you can send someone in a drawing and then see like a draw over and be like, okay, you tend to make the heads a little small, so here's what I would do about that. Or here's like your pectorals are looking a little flat because it's not wrapping around the rib cage form, so if you want to practice that, here's like a recommendation on a way to practice that, to improve that specific thing. And then also having specific goals, like, okay, well, I want to learn to draw this kind of thing, and be like, how would be the best what would be the best way to practice that. I want to get to draw this kind of style, what would be a good way to work towards that. Those kind of questions, I think could be really helpful to have a like an in-person, or like a personal feedback on that kind of a thing. So if that might interest you, then let me know in the comments, and if I see some interest, I will consider how that might work. All right, cool. That's it. I hope this video has imbued you with just a little bit more pencil power. Cool.